All right, so we're recording. So
All
bet.
good.
So all right, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, people from all over the world, here with the homie Nota. One time, what's good, bro?
I'm chilling. How you doing? How you doing, bro?
I'm amazing, man. Good to see you again.
Yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate that it's virtual, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's all good. It's all good.
I mean,
Where
hopefully,
you at? Where you at right now?
I'm in my crib right now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm in my crib. So I kind of got like a, because of COVID, I did a home office thing, and it's been working out for me. So I'm in
Yeah,
Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta in the crib.
yeah.
You know what I
Nah,
mean? But
nah. I feel that. I feel that.
good to see you, man. I want to have a conversation with you, man, because I find your perspective on some things very interesting. And last
No,
time
thanks.
last time you were out here, you guys were moving around so much. I was moving around so much. We didn't get a chance to like sit down and talk. I wanted to have you on the
Yeah,
podcast, but you know, I guess we'll get it how we could get it. You know what I mean?
yeah. No problem. I mean, last time I was out there, you were about to start a new show, right?
Yeah, on the radio. So the show is 2 hours of straight Amapiano,
Oh, wow. So
which
that's
is
like,
which is history for the states. Like this is the only show that exists in the states that features like Amapiano on a real radio
no,
station.
yeah, no, that's dope. And I mean, big up to you on, taking the radio leap. Radio is still a very important platform. I think one of the things that people forget is that, like, the songs um, you hear on the radio, they are the ones that stay with you.
Yeah, Nota, for real, I got mixed feelings about that. And I've been in radio for like since 2009 about.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like radio's dying or almost dead already. You know what I
Nah,
mean?
nah, 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 nah.
I
Radio will never die. The thing is that, there's us fast moving people, right? And we're like on podcasting and all these other platforms, and we're moving with the internet, right? But there's still, a huge component and a huge, large contingent of people that are reliant on radio. I mean, just think of the long haul truck drivers all over the world. You know, they rely on radio because internet can be patchy on long roads and stuff like that. And those are people that, rely on that listen to certain types of music, that consume the culture in a certain type of way, the old school way. Those are the people that still collect CDs or records, whatever the case may be. And there's always going to be a space for that, even though it might be smaller than whatever is the current thing or the mainstream thing that the kids are doing. At the end of the day, your tolerance for like new music and new trends kind of like ends by your early 30s. You know what I mean?
right.
You set, yeah, you're set in your taste and your ways. So the only way to maintain your taste, as you get older, is to keep all those things that are within your taste. So there's a time that's coming for that. So yeah, it's very important. Like, I don't want you to sleep on the fact, like, everybody on the internet says radio is dead or anything else. Like, seriously, radio immortalizes songs. You know what I mean? And that's its
I
purpose now. It doesn't break songs anymore, and we need to get over that because that's
Oh,
what it
okay,
used to
I
do.
think that's what my point is. I think my point is that radio doesn't break music anymore. Like these record execs talk to me. I speak to record execs all day, every day. You know what I mean? And they speak to me as if radio is still the number one thing that breaks records. You know what I mean? And I think that's the furthest thing from the truth. You know what I mean? I don't think I really feel like 95% of the population probably gets their music through stream or some sort of online entity. You know what I
I,
mean?
I, I think I think the problem is that when we base our perceptions of what works in the industry on what the record execs are currently doing, you need to understand that the record industry is run by corporations now. And, if you go to CVS, the person that's working at the register, is just doing their job. You know what I mean? It
Right.
doesn't matter how impractical it is. Like sometimes you walk through Whole Foods and you're like, oh, this is like some really impractical, nonsense that they're doing. And, whoever's assigned to do that job just sticks with it blindly because that's what pays their bills.
Right.
So, as far as the radio promotion teams and in record labels, the record execs, that's the only real job they had was to maintain relationships at radio and build rapport with the media. You know what I mean? And now with online media just picking up things on whatever artists and DJs and creators social media posts, you know, they they've left a gap for the professionals, the publicists,
Right.
the record executives. They actually don't have a job right now. So they're just saying that to keep their job and to gas up their job, to overplay the importance of their job. But I think that they're wasting their skills because there's tons of artists that people have forgotten about that need those record executive skills, to promote
Right.
their music, to sell their music, to make sure that their music is featured in the new movies that are being created. You know what I mean? To create that nostalgic feel, to create, really authentic soundtracks when we look back in time, in things like as commercials or films, etc. You watch like the Super Bowl commercial and all the Super Bowl commercials is like songs that were made for the commercials. You know
Right.
what I mean? And like that loses a whole lot of the audience. So, you know, that's where the gap is, and the people that are being retrenched at these record labels, they're just I guess giving up on themselves and thinking it's about breaking new artists. We're not in the era of breaking new artists.
Right.
Artist pops up on TikTok and then they have a viral hit. And then once they have a viral hit, we convert that into commercial success in the mainstream. That is when we pick up the artists. But we don't
Right.
develop artists anymore. Artists develop themselves. They develop their own style. They develop their own niche. They find an audience. They develop that audience. They understand that audience. And the the record labels, the distributors, they just facilitate the process of making sure that the people can then access the music and pay money for it. That is it. That's their
I
only
agree.
job. When it comes to the promotion of the artists, they cannot promote new artists. You know what I mean? The era of people being sold to us is no longer there. We no longer watch terrestrial TV, satellite TV, cable TV, whatever it is. We no longer watch that. No longer subject ourselves to programs that are forced on us. We like to discover our own things. You know what I mean? We've all got our own TikTok algorithms, all got our own X algorithms,
Hmm.
all got our own Instagram algorithms. So, you know, individuality is what we look for, even though, there are certain popular artists that everyone just goes for because that's what everybody else is doing. You know what I mean? There's the Drakes and the J. Coles, the Kendricks, the Taylor Swifts, etc., etc. There will be those. But the gap is in all the older music,
Right.
the pre-2000s music, the 90s music, and all of that, and who's really pushing that music and making sure that it's living its life within this new streaming era. Because we know that the labels are buying up all the white artists' music. They're buying the Bruce Springsteens. They're buying, the Metallicas. They're
Everybody's
buying the Pink
catalog.
Floyd.
Yeah.
But they're buying those so that they can put money into marketing them and preserving them and using them in films, etc., etc. When it comes to the black people that have been working at all these labels, the executives that the urban guys, you don't see them going back to, sell Smokey Robinson
Right.
to a new audience. You know what I mean? And that's where the gap is.
Yeah, man. And it's good to like sometimes you're such in your own bubble. You don't know if the things that are going on here are going on anywhere else. You know what I mean? So it's good to see that you see it like the way we kind of see it. You see the same kind of trends. But that's one of the reasons why too I wanted to have a conversation with you, right? Because I'm a big, big, big cheerleader of like I think that now more than ever, you guys need to have way more conversations with the diaspora. Like we need to communicate way more than we do. You know what I'm saying? We need to like
Yeah,
exchange resources way more than we do. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I think
yeah.
as
I
you
think,
know,
I think, yeah, I think, I mean, the structure of it, though, is what we've been struggling with because, people don't think of like economic channels. They think of like populations and things that are like, not really like telling you what are the market dynamics within whatever particular market. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like you're Haitian. You know what people are saying about Haiti right now. You know, no one
Right.
has got the real story, and that's
Right.
because
Right.
Haitians don't have microphones. You know what I mean? Within the worldwide media, that's just what it is.
Right.
So Haitians are not there to tell their own stories anyway. So that's the distortion that happens with the African continent a lot. So, I mean, a lot of the record executives from the major companies thought to themselves, okay, well, there's a population of nearly 200 million people in Nigeria. I mean, that's probably the biggest population in Africa. Let's just invest money in there and maybe we'll convert it. And that market never developed as a proper retail market. It was
Right.
more an informal market, the entire thing. I mean, music was being sold in the black markets, completely.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's how it was being distributed. So any of the models that come from the Western retail, market wouldn't work. There's no record stores. You know what I mean? There's people that
Right.
just distribute the records, etc., etc. So South Africa is a market where um, there's a lot of parallels, and the transition is seamless, right? And also South Africa is responsible, I think, for almost 60% of the trade on the continent.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, so we're a very big economic player. Another
But this
thing
is
is that,
that proves my point even more. Like that proves my point. Like because of that, like we should be speaking a lot more. You know what I mean? Like on
that's
not
true.
even not even on a public forum, but on the back end. Like because I feel like me personally, I feel like any black culture anywhere is my culture. That's how I feel.
Mm,
Me as a black
yeah.
person, I don't care that I'm not South African. So to me, I don't really care if people have something to say that like I'm champion, I'm a piano here, and I'm not South African because I personally
Mm,
feel like as long as it's black culture, it's my culture.
mm,
You know what I mean? Just
yeah.
like I don't feel no
Exactly.
way when I see South African art or South African people love house music. That was made by
Mm,
black Americans. They love hip hop. That was made by black
mm,
Americans. I don't feel no
mm,
way because I feel like you black. So you need to enjoy black culture no matter where it's from and no matter where it started. That's kind of how I feel. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I feel like it's important to connect to the source of it too to help develop like an economic system within us. You know what I'm saying? So you
yeah. I don't think um it's as small as music. I think uh, our trade relations have been over delayed.
right.
And the problem with that is that, we've got two problems. We've got white South Africans, and then we've got West Africa's being dominated by Nigeria. So Nigeria has a much larger voice than anybody else within the West African region.
Hmm.
And therefore, because they represent the region, and it's such a large region in terms of its population as well, they overrepresent in terms of the African continent.
Right. Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Whereas, I mean, you look at East Africa. Which are the biggest countries in East Africa? There's Kenya, there's Ethiopia,
Right.
there's Tanzania. You know what I mean? I guess Rwanda as well. They've got a certain level of influence because of them facilitating, trade with Congo. So uh, I think um, because that block is so broken up and not overly dominated by one country, you know what I mean? No one really considers it, you know?
Right.
When you look at South Africa dominates the Southern African region, much like Nigeria dominates West Africa. But the proximity of Nigeria to the West, just geographically, number one, and number two, culturally, because, um, they were colonized much earlier,
Right.
and they also emerged from colonization earlier as well. While South Africa was isolated until 1990, 94 or 91,
Right.
um, uh, in various stages. So that's another thing as we're behind the apple cart. Um, but the main thing that we're lacking is the actual black dollar. And the
Mhm.
problem with the United States of America is that black people have nowhere to spend their money because there's not enough black products that can be made by such a small population for them to spend and circulate their dollar within an economy that is dominated by people from other racial groups in terms of demographics. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So if over 50% of your population is white, you know what I mean, and they're producing products, they're going to predominantly produce them for white people. And therefore,
Right.
black people who are the minority would then have to consume products that are produced for white people primarily. You know what I
Right.
mean? They'd have to create products that are consumed for white people to be profitable, and then they'd also have to produce a smaller amount of products that are to be consumed by black people to at least have products for black people. So make creating products for black people in America is more like a charity exercise. It's not really
Right.
um, a commercial exercise. You know what I mean? It's you're doing it for the culture. Whereas if those products were being produced for the African markets, there's a billion people there, which is much bigger than the white market in the United States of America, and much bigger than many other markets in in many other continents around the world. There's also a very large population. The second largest population of black people in the world is in Brazil, South America. There's
Hmm.
also a large
Hmm.
South American population, and African Americans are not producing products for those markets, and they're not moving their companies into those markets. The only companies that are moving are the white-owned companies. You know what I mean? We have all the white-owned companies, the McDonald's, the Apples, you name it. We have
Hmm.
all the, but none of the black founders are saying, "Hey, there's black people over there. They understand our culture. Let's at least sell them products." You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's just for me, it's just dumbness of Americans. It's because um, they are the richest black people in the world,
Right.
and therefore they've got the most buying power, and the most logical thing for them to do to protect their own stake in any economy
Right.
is to make sure that they spend as much of that money in black hands as possible. And in Africa, there's an opportunity to do that. White-owned companies are making a killing in Africa. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
it doesn't even take that much. You know how much houses are selling for $50,000. You could get yourself a nice lot. You know what I mean? Um, even in Johannesburg. You know what I mean?
Right. But this is
Um,
this is this is why I bring up the point again. Like this is why I've made it my mission to have conversations with people like you or anybody else from the continent, because and of course the relationship typically starts with music, but it moves on to other things, right? Like when the Gogo came here, I was explaining to her like, yo, we need to have that open line of communication, not for just music, for real estate, for whatever. Because like I said, we as Americans, we've been lied to about what the continent is and what it does to all, like we
yeah,
say in the Caribbean, all now. You know what I'm saying? We
yeah.
don't. That's why it's important for you to hit me like, yo, right now there's this clothing line, like, yo, you should get involved with this, da 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 da. Because like I said, if it's black, it's my
Okay.
culture. You know what I'm
Can I
saying?
explain? Can I explain to you what the challenge is? And that's the assumption that Americans have. You guys are the minority there, and you guys see how um, you were suppressed, right?
Hmm.
Imagine we're the majority and we were suppressed. So the
Right.
suppression that you guys felt was a lot easier than the suppression we felt, because we felt the suppression while we had the numbers and we couldn't do anything
Mhm.
about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So our own miseducation as Africans that are on the continent is possibly worse,
Mhm.
because it's a self-deprecation that internalizes our inferiority, and therefore we don't have the impetus that Americans have.
Mhm.
And I think you saw that, like, South Africans are very chilled, or many Africans, they're really chilled. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? They're not really about to get it. You know what I mean? About getting
Right.
it. So that's a different wavelength that you're on. So you can never wait for the Africans to lead that conversations. You know what I mean? Or to lead the initiatives. You need to be able to say, let
Mhm.
me put down $1,000. That's not my return flight. Let me touch down in South Africa. Let me go to Joburg. Spend however many weeks I need to spend there. I mean, $500 a week is a lot to
Mhm.
to live
Right.
comfortably.
Right.
You know what I
So
mean?
like how do you feel, speaking of importing and exporting and building an economy, how do you feel about South Africa's biggest cultural export right now, which is Amapiano. Like
Yeah,
it is like,
I mean,
it's become very infectious all over the world, but in the States, especially Atlanta, I feel like Atlanta is like ground zero for Amapiano right now.
like I look at what our whole economy is producing, and our biggest export is gold. And I
Mhm.
look at how much money we bring in through our gold exports and our minerals export. I mean, we're the number one producer of platinum group metals, which are essential in the, battery electric technology
Right.
right now, which powers almost everything that we use, the devices that we're using right now, you know. Um, uh, we have the ports that, can get the cobalt out of the Congo, and anywhere else in the world. You know what I mean? We we do a lot. We build ships. We've got we've got some of the biggest telescopes in the world in the Karoo in the desert. So Amapiano, in terms of how much money it's contributing to our economy, is still a very minuscule part.
Of course, of
You
course.
understand what I'm saying? So for African Americans, they've been able to take advantage of how big the music industry is there. I mean, uh, it's a more than $20 billion a year industry over there in
Mhm.
terms of the revenue, and African Americans produce a lot of it. And even though they don't get the lion's share of the proceeds, I mean, it's enough money to go around for them to get quite a lot.
Mhm.
Whereas in Africa, there is not that amount of money to get out quite a lot out of the music. Our 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 consumption, is not developed at this level that you guys are at. Like there's more there's more Apple Music subscribers in Atlanta than in in South Africa probably, or in
Right.
the whole of Africa. You know
Right.
what I mean? You know what I mean? So just think about the money and all artists, all music, it's either Tim Cook is paying you or Daniel Ek is paying you right now. You
Right.
know what I
Right.
mean? Those are your two bosses. That's who the whole entire music industry around the world works for right now. So if you're making your money from Tim Cook and Daniel Ek, and you're sleeping on the opportunity to take part in the other more productive, industries that you can buy into in Africa, and you cannot buy into in the United States with your black dollar because you've been locked out and you're gate kept out of it, then that's where we're actually missing the opportunity. That is where the opportunity actually is. The opportunity is not, having 50% of Armand de Brignac and, suing Duce,
Right.
for shelving your product and not marketing it properly. So, they can sell other products more, but still use your name to market, you know,
Their business. Right.
their business, Napoleon's brand. So that's what we need to actually really be considering. Guys love jewelry, you know what I mean, but they're not into the jewelry trade. I mean, in Atlanta, everyone's got diamonds. I mean, one of the biggest diamond producers in the world is South Africa. How many
Hmm.
guys tell you that they flew to Cape Town? To the where diamonds are cut, one of the best places
Right.
to get your. How many guys are there and saying, no, we're not getting our diamonds through third parties. We're going straight there, and we've got businesses that we own there. We've got diamond and jewelers and designers, that study at the University of Cape Town, some of the best jewelry designers in the world. You know what I mean? How many people are building that? And those are things that we're sleeping on. I mean, a brand like Cartier is a South African-owned brand. It's owned by one of the richest men in South Africa, Johan Rupert. And he owns a whole lot of businesses, and that's how white folk over here are able to get one up over us because they're able to attract international investments. They can
Mhm.
attract the European euros. They can attract the pound investments in projects that they're having here in extracting wealth from Africa. But we don't have an economic base anywhere else that's bringing in that foreign currency that we need to do that. And that's what we need African Americans for. That's what we need the Caribbean for. And all of those that are earning the real black, you know, greenback that we need it
Right.
back in Africa and passed down through black hands so that we can reinvest it in black communities and create a real proper economic base that can be a launch pad, for black people to prosper all around the globe.
Yeah, I always say like the picture is bigger, right? But because we've been misled for so long and like we live in this bubble for so long, sometimes small doses is best and to deliver it in a way where people can understand it, and then once they get that, we can deal with the bigger problems. And I feel like the music and everything that's coming from the continent is starting to have people. I see like the change in people. People are like, because of the music, now I want to go to Africa. Before that wasn't a thing. Before, when a
Mm.
black American said, I'm going on vacation, Africa wasn't even nobody even thought of Africa. You see what I'm saying?
Private
When
jets down at Turks and Caicos,
yeah, you know what I'm saying? They rather go to, Mexico, but Jamaica, Bahamas or something like
or
that,
Europe.
or Europe,
I never
they go
understood.
to
I never
they go to
understood that. Why
Spain.
would you?
Yeah.
Why would you go to the slave traders?
And then and like it's sad because like it's really sad, you know what I mean? Because we were just always taught that you shouldn't go back to Africa. Like literally, like we've always like you people here when I went to Joburg and I went to Botswana, people, you know what black people literally told me when I told them I'm going to South Africa, I'm going to Botswana. They asked me why. Literally, that's what.
but my question is now: ask yourself, why were you told not to come back?
Oh, I know why. Of course, because
So that they could make a killing without you
exactly,
getting in the way. You know what I mean?
exactly,
So then that's
exactly,
what we need you guys to do. We need you guys to get in the way. You know, when people tell you
exactly,
no, you're not South African, you're not you need yeah, but South Africans need me to get in the way.
exactly,
So I'm gonna
and
get in the way. You
exactly,
know what
and
I
that's
mean?
what I feel, and that's why I feel like that's why it's important for me to shed light on as much light on the continent as I possibly can. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not sure if you know the history of Haiti, but we were like the only
I
country to
know, I know,
fight the
I know,
colonizer.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. You must
So
remember that Jean Bertrand Aristide came for asylum in South Africa.
right. You know what I mean? So like
Mm,
a lot of our culture resembles y'all culture because we were
mm-hmm,
able to preserve a lot of our African heritage
mm,
and traditions because we weren't enslaved like that. So
mm.
when you look at Haitian culture, like a lot of my Nigerian friends or African friends, period, they'll be like, geez, like, so y'all eat this, y'all do this, y'all do like, damn, y'all African. Like, yeah, bro. Like, a lot of our culture is preserved because when we came from Africa and went to Haiti, we were able to preserve a lot of that. So it's for me, I identify on a different level, on a spiritual level, to the continent, um, because of those reasons. So for me, I feel like it is my obligation to shine light on the culture, and that small tidbit helps, like it it helps Black Americans go down the rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, when I talk to these artists, like, I don't think they understand the seed that they're planting in certain people's heads because they get into Afrobeat, I'm a piano, and then all of a sudden, they want to visit, then they visit, then all of a sudden they want to buy a house there. Then like look what's happening in Ghana. They're raising the real estate market because blacks from here and in Europe are moving
Yeah,
to Ghana in drones.
no, no, but the thing is this is that it's white folk that are buying most of the lots. You know, black folk are buying one unit at a time, two units at a time. I mean, it's happening in Cape Town as well. I mean, Cape Town has
Right.
been completely emptied out. It's a city that doesn't exist. I mean, think about it like this: if the tourists that are living in Europe and only coming down there for the southern hemisphere summer buy up all the apartments, the guy who's selling bread and milk downstairs, you know,
Right.
he has no one to sell bread and milk to. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
There's and the people that are in the city, they just work there. They go back home. You know, they commute after this, so they're not going to be buying bread and milk because they don't want to be carrying bread and milk on their commute. So the guys
Right.
that are inside the city, all the businesses are going to start to close down because they're going to get less frequented. You know what I mean? So that is the challenge that we're facing. And then we also don't have proper investment in the places where black people stay. You know, so those are the places that are underinvested in, and those are the places where we need the black dollar. So all I'm saying is that we need you to lobby people that side instead of worrying about what people are going to say. You need to lobby people, say, yo, let's flip money that side. Let's bring in our money because white folk are spending up this money and our people are suffering because of it, and we're not stemming the tide. You know what I mean? And
But
out
the
here, our money is useless anyway because we cannot
right.
trade it amongst each other because there's too few of us.
Right. But the challenge with that is, I agree. I agree though. That's the approach. But the challenge with that approach is that black people here haven't done that here for themselves. So
Hmm.
getting them to do that somewhere else is the challenge. You see what I'm saying? Because black
No,
people,
that's the opportunity. That's the thing that we need to sell them on a dream that has never been realized. It's the same way you can sell people on saying, "Hey, we're gonna colonize Mars," right? You need to sell them like, "Yo, South Africa is a base, an economic base." You know what I mean? The majority of black people. Johannesburg is the city with the most black millionaires in the world. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So that is a base. And that's where we need to be investing to create a black economic base that we can spread out throughout the African continent because already South Africa's got trading ties with the entire African continent. You know what I mean? Every single region.
right? Because that's what drew me to Atlanta. Like Atlanta is one of the rare places in America where black people actually own big companies and actually invest
Mm-hmm.
in other black
Mm-hmm.
people. There's black
Mm-hmm.
schools, there's black police,
Mm-hmm.
black
Mm-hmm.
judges, black,
Mm-hmm.
me growing up in New York, I didn't see that. You don't see
Mm-hmm.
that at all. So when I came here and
Mm-hmm.
seen that, I was like blown away. So it makes sense to me
Exactly.
like it makes sense to me. That's why like Atlanta's ground zero when it comes to like learning and knowing about y'all culture. You know what I mean? So like I'm
Mm-hmm.
constantly fighting that battle, Nota. Like I'm always trying to get people into the culture in every way, culturally, economically, but it's an uphill battle. You know what I mean? It's an
Yeah.
uphill battle, bro.
So we just need to, facilitate the travel. That's the most important part.
Right.
I think as soon as we can get more and more people to travel, the perspective opens up. You've been to Johannesburg, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
your mind was blown, you know what I mean? Immediately from the moment you set foot, and all you saw was black folk just, everywhere.
Right.
It's like black folk everywhere. It's like for real.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
for real. You know what I mean? It's like, oh damn, that's
So
um
so let me ask you real quick.
the yeah.
What do you think music wise, what do you think the future is for South Africa? Because it's like the world is shining a light now on South Africa with Africa in
Yeah.
general, but I feel like right
No,
now
it's South
more
Africa.
so it's South Africa. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, so South Africa, the good thing about us is that we've been able to develop our industry and broaden it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's a lot of artists. I mean, you cannot keep up with the number of artists that are dropping hot music from South Africa. You know what I mean? There's no like real big superstar that you can say is bigger than everybody else. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So that's the positive thing about it. So we've got like a wide net, and the next big thing is for people to discover the rest of the genres that South Africa has to offer. You know what I mean? There's lots of music that South Africa has to offer, and the potential is if you think of the United States of America, most of the music culture is derived from black folk, and black folk, is less than 40 million, or it's just about 40 million people there. So there's about 47, 48 million black folk in South Africa. So you look at the numbers and then you look at the market that they're catering to, the 1.2 billion people in Africa, the, you know, the 40 odd billion people in um, the United States, the 140 odd million people. I mean, 40 odd million people in the United States, 140 odd million in like Brazil, you know what I mean, or almost 200 million in all of South America. You know, those numbers, once they add up, there's a really big base for the music to grow into, and for people to start consuming the music because it's the music that gets people moving a lot more than any other music, that we've seen. You know what I
Right.
mean? Just the amount of dance culture that is immersed in South African music is unprecedented, you know, and and I think that's what differentiates it from something else. It's like, you might never ever get what the song is saying, but you know what the movement is, and you know how to
Mhm.
communicate, physically with it, and that's something that is ingrained in us. So you need to understand, like our dance culture. as black folk is primed from the time we're kids. Kids, as soon as you can stand, you're in a dance competition. You know,
Right.
exactly. So in South Africa, I mean, the stakes are super high. You
Right.
know what I mean? That is, yeah, because dancing can change your life. Like, really. There was a time in the hood, I mean, the first people, when we got our freedom, the cool people were called the Pansula dancers. And, you know, they were the cool folk. They were also, you know, um, I guess they were the thugs of
Right.
our, new liberation, you know, and that Pansula culture has continued on to this day, and dancing is to South African youth or the South African young people what playing soccer is for Brazilian kids. You understand what
Right.
I'm saying? So
Right.
if you think about how Brazil is able to dominate the world in soccer, you know what I mean, and that culture, even though it might not be one of the greatest economic powers in the world, or even though the region is not as developed as Europe, um, that is the effect that you're going to see South African music have on the world.
Mm. So you think, because everybody in music around the world has a moment. Everybody has a moment where the light is shined on them, and
Mm.
for some people, that moment turns into a movement, and that movement turns into like a straight up lifestyle that the rest of the world adopts. You think the music scene with South Africa would happen the same way, or what?
Do you follow soccer?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, whether Brazil wins the World Cup or not, they're the favorite team every
Yeah,
time.
yeah, every time. Right.
So that's what I'm saying about South
Right.
African music. You know what I mean? It's like whether we've got the number one song on Billboard or not, people will always say, I love South African music. And
Right.
that's the thing. It's going to be one of those forever things. It's like, you know what I mean?
Mm,
People all around the world, hey, I really love South African music. It's going to be like, it's like, I love jazz or I love,
right.
that's just one of those things. And it doesn't matter whether it's the top mainstream sound of the world commercially at the time. It just matters that it's something that exists globally, that people know exists, and that for us is a win.
Right. So how do you think South Africa doesn't get, just like anything else black people do, how does it not get exploited in the
Um,
way where it doesn't lose its origin? Because once
yeah,
something
it's
goes out, it's like,
unexploitable.
yeah.
It's unexploitable.
Mm,
We've done all the work that it takes to protect it. So
mm,
the first thing that we needed to conscientize South Africans was the ownership of the music, and we got that into the public, and we made sure that the public, were proud of it
mhm.
and could beat their chest about it. So we did all the steps. We ticked all the boxes. We got Tyler to the Grammys. She won Best African Performance. She's the historic
Right.
first ever winner of that. You know what I mean? We've done everything. You know what I mean? So those are the little moments when Tyler comes home with a Grammy, and then people are like, "Yeah, our
Mm,
music is Grammy winning." You know what I mean? We're world beaters. When the people start believing that, that's when they defend it. You know what I mean? That's when they protect it, and their pride is what protects it from exploitation.
right. But how do we stop it from being the next rock and roll, the next country music, where it starts off from one
Nah,
group of people? You know what I mean?
it's
But you get what I'm
impossible.
saying, right?
No, we can never, because rock and roll was not about dance. You know what I mean? It lost its dance element. You know what I mean? Initially,
Right.
the dance moves were important. You know what I mean? That's how Elvis got big. He stole some dance moves, and he had people, doing moves and stuff like that. He took some Beach Boys moves, the twists and everything else, which are dances that they were getting from the black clubs that they were going to.
So
You
how's
know,
that different though? If these group of white kids from London start
they can never
stealing,
dance the way South Africans dance. They will never. That is impossible. There's enough white South Africans for us to have a sample size to say that
you
white people will never be able to move like us.
he said
So
you have a sample size.
we've been studying these
That's
white folks, dog.
funny,
We've tried
son.
everything. They cannot move, dog. They are stiff as
Right.
boards, dog. Like
Right.
we've tried everything to get our white folk to dance. Like, I mean, think about it. Like there's Chinese folks that have moved to South Africa, and they're the ones who are trending with the dance challenges. You know what I mean? The Asians.
Right.
are able to get it before the white folks. So the white folk will never be able to
But
appropriate
remember,
our dance culture.
remember with rock, it did start with the dance moves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
And
know, I
then,
know.
but when white people took it, they removed that element of it. They took
Yeah,
it when they started dominating it. They removed
they made
that
it about
element of it.
singing.
So
Yeah,
how does that
they.
not happen? Like how do you prevent that with
So the
with Amapiano or South
so,
African music in general?
so the thing is that we know how you guys were trained to make music as African Americans or Africans in the Caribbean. So you guys
Hmm.
got stripped out your African melodies. You guys
This is
use
true.
whatever is the European, whether the Catholic, the Anglican, that sort of gospel type of
Right.
music. You know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
classic. You guys are classically trained.
Right.
We're not. So we dig from a deeper well,
Mm.
and that deeper well is just as deep as our dance well as well.
So you're saying the ancestors gave y'all the log drum? That's what you're saying?
Like yeah, the 808 did not come from our ancestors. That's why the 808 depresses you. That's why the 808 wants you to listen alone. The log drum wants you to listen with people. Bamba is the only place where people feel happy, dog. Like they leave the club feel
Nah.
happy. There's no fights outside Bamba, dog.
Yeah.
There's no fights. Nobody fighting outside Bamba. You know what I mean? Like
Yo, bro.
that's because the sound. The log drum doesn't make you want to fight. It makes you happy. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
bro.
You're
Yo,
not
bro.
sitting in the corner depressed. You're talking to
That's
the girls. You got confidence, dog. You know what I mean?
the log drum gives you confidence.
It
You heard
does.
you heard Red Bull gives you wings. The
You know
log
what I
drum
mean?
gives you confidence, bro.
Confidence. Because with the 808, you want to flex on the girls. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
standing
yeah.
across from the club and you're flexing on her and you're like from a distance. You're not even respecting her properly. You know what I
Right.
mean? With the lug drum, you got confidence. You're like, you know what? Let me approach this sister properly. Let me come up to her, maybe dance with her a bit. You know what I mean? Communicate. And that's the thing. That's the whole entire vibe. So when we dig from that deeper well, and all I'm saying is that all you guys need to do is touch your black skin back home and you're connected
I agree.
automatically.
I agree. And I know you're joking, but kind of serious at the same
No,
time.
seriously,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
but
not joking.
no,
Yeah,
but
like
because
seriously.
yo, it's actually serious. Like that's why I keep saying I don't think you guys understand. I don't think the average South African understands what's happening. Like you South African culture has changed the whole landscape of Atlanta. I'm
Yeah,
dead serious, bro. Like
yeah.
Atlanta's music scene was in a very dark place, bro. Like it was
I
getting
know.
yeah, it was getting dangerous to go
I know.
out and party
We
and
lost a lot of lives. You must remember that
yeah,
we mourned all those losses. You know what I mean?
yeah.
We mourned it. We mourned when Triple X Tentacion, because
Mm-hmm.
all the kids were loving him. You know what I mean? He lost his life out in Florida, but you know what I mean? We mourned that. We're like, damn, why is he rolling out in Florida? We know it's an open carry state. South Africans know that. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
why doesn't he have security in an open carry state? Like, why would he do that? You know what I mean? He's not in New York. Like, we're so down. We know, like, we're like, damn, they fucked up.
Right,
You know,
right, right.
you know what I
But
mean? So that for us, and I mean the whole entire Amapiano culture really comes from the trap movement. I mean, like when we really started locking down on trap, it was the first time where young kids were making hip hop and were doing it independent, making their own money without the record label establishment. You know what I mean?
mhm,
And that's what it really set it up for Amapiano. The kids in Amapiano, they were inspired by my generation going out and making it while in the hood, not making it out the hood, but making it while in
right,
the hood, while
right,
in our communities, putting studios in the shacks or wherever it is, and rocking from where we are. You know what I mean? Using the Fruity Loops that they're using in Atlanta. You know what I mean? So we pick that all up. We watched the videos. You know what I mean?
mm,
Of the Atlanta trap scene. We know what I mean? We watched the whole entire thing get set up, and we were able to replicate that within our own trap, because the whole entire trap point is like it's in the trap. You know what I mean? This is what we're doing in
right,
the hood. That whole entire thing, it got immersed in us, and we did it in our own way, and that gave birth to Amapiano today. The same way the 808 is melodic in trap music. You know what I mean? The log drum is melodic in Amapiano. You know what I mean? It's a
right.
direct replica. It's just that it's the opposite pole. You know what I mean? It's the yin to the yang.
Right. So what I'm hearing too is like it's black people on different sides of the the globe pouring into each other.
We're playing a game of tennis. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like the Williams sisters. You know what I mean? And with each stroke, back and forth, we're just making each other better. You know what I mean? And that's what we need to do. We just need we need like the Williams sisters. We need a dad,
Right.
a father to be like.
Right. To guide it.
You understand what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like y'all can beat each other up, but I need y'all to both be world champions. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like that's it. It's not
Bro.
about between y'all. It's about winning for
Right.
us. You
Cause
know what I
bro,
mean?
when I'm telling you, bro, I've been DJing. I'm not a young dude. People think I'm young, but I'm
Yeah.
not. You know what I mean? I've been DJing for 25 years, right?
Yeah.
Um, about 13 of those years, 14 of those years, I've been on radio. I've been the premier DJ here in Atlanta. Like
Mm.
every top club, bro. I've done every
Yeah.
top party. Like, bro, I've
Yeah.
done I've done two the I've done parties where Jay-Z and Beyonce are on the bill. Like that doesn't
Yeah.
even happen. There's parties
Yeah.
where Jay-Z and Beyonce might show up, but
Yeah.
never like on the bill.
The
You know what I'm
bill.
saying?
Yeah.
Like with a
Yeah.
flyer saying Jay-Z and Beyonce are gonna
Beyonce. Yeah.
be here. This is their party. Like that doesn't
Yeah.
happen. You know what I'm saying? And the two times it's
Exactly.
happened, I've DJ'd both those parties. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I've done everything you could think of. And I've done every top slot on the radio. I've
Mm.
done every top party for every artist. I've done it
Mm.
all. And then when I switched, I actually found out about Amapiano in Qatar, funny enough.
Mm.
And when I came back, because there's a population
Which year was this?
2019 going into
2019.
2019 going into 2020. So I went there to DJ
Yeah.
a New Year's Eve party in 2019 going into
Yeah.
2020. That's when I found out about
Yeah.
that. I found out about
That was like the second best days for
right,
Amapiano.
right, right. I found out about
Uh,
correct me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Home.
Boom, yeah.
Yeah. So I found out about
That's the
that.
key into Amapiano.
I found out that's when I first discovered South African music. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's Afro tech house Afro
So
house, everything.
Gom is from the East Coast.
Mm, okay.
Amapiano is from up north,
Right.
from Joburg,
Right.
and
Very
then
dope.
Gom is a coastal sound.
Dope.
It's only along the coast.
Word.
Yeah, and then inland is Amapiano
It's crazy.
because in the coast, they're closer to the shore.
Right. So bro,
I don't need to go into details. So
right,
what type of music
right.
they rock with out there? You know what I mean? The
Right.
coastal. It's like Florida. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a
Right.
party.
Yeah, man. So like I switched up my whole style. I threw it all the way. People were like, "You're crazy." I was like, "This is the music." I wasn't feeling good about the energy I was getting from our typical music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So 2019, I made a decision to switch, and then the pandemic
Hmm.
hit. So I got chance to really sit and study the music, learn the artists, learn the producers, learn about the culture and all that stuff like that. And
I
like,
mean, the biggest song of 2023 came from Atlanta and was a home sample.
which song?
Ghana. Fuck you mean?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yeah,
That's
yeah,
Case
yeah,
DJs
yeah.
and
No,
Shoma
no,
Josie.
yeah,
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 that's
yeah,
Do Me a Phone. Yeah.
yeah. So Shoma Josie, I
You know what I
found
mean?
out about in 2019 too.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
crazy.
So that's
Yeah,
the com. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That's that wave. So that's what I'm saying. It's like the biggest song in Atlanta was sampled that. You know what I mean?
yep,
So
yeah,
already you're seeing the influence on the South African culture. What you're saying is showing on the Billboard chart.
yeah. Because bro, when I mean the scene here used to be unbelievable, bro. Like
Mm,
there's not too many places in the world where, like I said, that Jay-Z and Beyonce party was held at a black person's club that owns and
mm,
operates it, an African. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
Like, so like the scene here got very weird at one point because it was popping after the pandemic. It got very weird. Well, a little bit before that, but the pandemic just made it worse, and it just got
mm,
very dangerous and very dark and just very.
mm,
And then I decided I'm switching over. That's when I started Bomba, and literally that changed the landscape of now everybody's off the super gangster thug type of vibes. Everybody's trying to figure out I'm a piano. Everybody's trying to figure out more happy music. And that's all done from because of South African artists. Like
Yeah,
changed the whole landscape here in Atlanta. It's
yeah,
insane. It's
because
insane.
we're going through shit too, and the
Right.
music is the only thing that can make us happy, that can get us through it.
Right.
Because like we're right in the shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the whole entire thing. And like, I mean, these songs that you guys are hearing and bumping to, they're like cries to God and our ancestors to,
Mhm.
show us the way and show us light. You know what I mean? And help us through. So it's very spiritual, and that's the reason why that essence is still carried through, even though there's a language barrier.
Right. Because like I say at Bamba, we don't listen to the music. We feel the music. You know what I'm saying? That's
Exactly.
why, yeah, that's why it doesn't matter if it's in a different language because we're not
Hmm.
listening to necessarily comprehend. We're listening to feel. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's the thing. Is that
Yeah.
and that's a common feeling that everybody has at Bamba. You know what I mean? Everywhere. You know,
Right.
and some of the prettiest girls in Atlanta are always at Bamba,
Nah,
and
nah.
no, some of the prettiest girls, I won't lie, like
I'd agree. I'd agree, man. I'd agree.
so, but the thing about them is that you catch them anywhere else, and you might not
Recognize them.
catch them on the right, well, maybe on the right vibe. I mean,
Right.
like
Oh yeah,
at
yeah.
Bamba,
That's
I
that's
think,
for true.
yeah, you
That's
know what I
true.
mean. Girls are not as dismissive, like whatever, you know what I mean,
That's
and then you
because
like
y'all
that
music just
also.
creates a different y'all music. I think y'all approach though to life is just different too. Like y'all really know how to party and have a good time. For us is like we're constantly always in survival mode. And for us,
Mm,
survival mode means for me to do well, I gotta like take you down. You know what I'm
mm.
saying? But I don't know
That's
if
because
y'all
you.
have that mentality.
Yeah, I mean that does creep in because that's the capitalistic mentality. You know what I mean? Is to
Right.
create scarcity, to exploit it, and then that also creates like a scarcity outlook. You know what I mean? Where you think there's a scarcity of opportunities that need to be available, and you need to cut other people out of them. So that's just the capitalistic mindset, and the more we're reliant on capitalism to make it a livelihood, the more we turn into those monsters. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So the only pushback that we have is for us to invest ethically in things that will help us get back to our essence as African people. You know what I mean? And sustain ourselves and sustain our integrity. So that's the one thing is that everyone talks about, oh, people are left wingers, people are right wingers. Where's the black wing?
Right. Right. That's why I always say, bro, I'm not for party, I'm for policy. So people
Yeah,
always ask me, "Are you Democrat? Are you this? Or you that?" I'm for whoever is gonna put in the best legislation for my people. You know what I'm
yeah, but
saying? That's who I'm
the
for.
only way, no, the only way you can do that is if Africans have enough money to out lobby APEC. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Exactly. Which should
That's
be
it. So
illegal. I don't. Do you guys
no,
allow
no,
lobbying?
we don't allow lobbying, but you guys allow it. So within
Yeah.
the rules that they've set up for themselves, invest your money back in Africa, flip it properly, so that that money can come back in bigger money than APEC, and then you can have an economic base. There's no way Jewish people who are a minority of the population in the United States of America, maybe in many places they've got like really big populations. I mean, like New York has got the biggest Jewish population in the world. You know what I mean? Florida's also got a big Jewish population, but they've got an economic base that assists them in lobbying for their minority rights. So
Right.
they'll never be squandered. They know you don't see Jewish people saying, "Hey, the Great Replacement Theory. The people are going to breed out Jewish people." They're never threatened by the fact that they've got small numbers.
Right.
Yeah, it's because they've got large money.
So let me ask you, what would you say before we get out of here? Because I don't want to make the interview 2-3 hours. You know what I mean? I don't want to take
Yeah,
up too much of your time. But what
no
would you
problem.
what would you say to the Black American who is now just finding out about the culture, finding out about the different countries in Africa? Because Americans, not just black or white, they they talk about Africa like it's a country. You know what I'm saying? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So
What but wait, what would you
I think,
say for them to connect and to for us to start doing these things that you're suggesting?
yeah, follow South African news and
Mm,
African news. Get to know the people, get to know what's happening. That's how you come up with the ideas. Oh, that's an opportunity. I could invest in that. Oh, that's a product that they buy over there. That's how you know the culture, and it's all on the internet. So subscribe to all the channels. You know what I mean? Even if they're speaking pidgin English, if they've got subtitles, read the transcripts, whatever it is. But like immerse yourself in whatever the culture is now currently, and then you'll be able to follow along like you follow pop culture. You were introduced into the Kardashians, you don't know who those white girls were. You know what I
right.
mean? And then
Right.
now you know everything about them. Now you even keep your phone on speaker. You know what I mean? Just because you saw it on the Kardashians. I don't know why girls do that. You know what I mean? Like people will be like you'll be in a Porsche SUV. You know what I mean? A Porsche SUV. I know you got Bluetooth. Why are
Right.
you holding your like?
It's
You know
crazy.
what I mean?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, you know what I mean? So that's how influential the media is. And so if you're watching the music videos, you're watching the podcasts or the podcasts or whatever it is, you know what I mean? The content, and you're getting into the know of what's happening in contemporary culture within the African continent. Soon, I don't know how you feel about this, but have you ever felt like when you listen to a certain podcast, like they become like your friends group?
For
It's
sure.
like,
For
you know what I mean?
you
If you
you
got a
become
weekly
part of the
podcast,
tribe. You become part of the
yeah,
tribe. Like, yeah, you know
and
what I
like
mean?
you imagine it as if like the conversations are happening with you in it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like it's as if you and your boys are at the bar and y'all
Right.
having a chat. You know what I mean? So that's how intimate you get. That's the invitation that I'm giving out to people. I think that's the one thing I can say, because I don't want to confuse people and give them too many instructions. Just consume the content. The culture will follow on.
Dope, man. Nota, I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate your
No,
time.
thank you, man.
It took us some because of the time difference. It took us some back and forth to get this popping.
Yeah, but
But
how warm is it up there now? Because last time, you had me out in the cold, and like I ran off to Miami. I even spent a month in Miami, and it was nice and warm there. And there are lots of Haitians there. That's
lots,
actually like, you know what I mean? Yeah,
lots,
yeah,
lots.
lots of Haitians there. So
It's
I
nice
gotta
and
shoot
warm,
some
man.
Haitian stuff.
You guys just came at a bad time. It's warm about 10 months out of the year here. You know what I mean? So you
Yeah,
guys just got here at a bad day. And so it's
yeah.
warm now. It's really nice out now. You know what I mean? Really
No, so
sunny, really warm. So yeah.
yeah, I'll be back soon. You know what I mean? And I'm also gonna be coming through with a whole lot more people from this side that just needed more impetus to say, hey, the music is big out there. The money
Right.
is out there to, spend on the product that you guys are selling. And instead of being out here in SA, where people are really struggling to make ends meet and have to choose between a ticket to your show and bread, you know what I mean?
Right.
Rather ply your trade elsewhere and help the sound go bigger. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because it needs the people to be there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Americans need to see you to believe you. You need to
Dope.
touch and feel you.
I say that every time, bro. I say that every time. But I appreciate you, bro. Don't hang up.
Thank you, man.
Because I do have to speak to you about one thing. I'm just gonna end the recording, but don't hang up.
I know. I got you.
All right.